What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So today I do want to discuss the buff for the Vargo and whether or not it's actually enough to at least make it decent. So the Vargo in this game, it's only been out for a few seasons and it's been highly regarded as actually one of the worst assault rifles to this day. And it gets compared constantly to the AS Val, but I do have my different opinions on that, which I will get into later in the video. But the changes for the Vargo S is something I did want to discuss because I know, again, the weapon has always been, I guess, lower than solid for a lot of people, but I do kind of want to give you guys a different perspective on the weapon. So of everything in the patch notes that was changed, I would say the Vargo probably had the most changes, but nothing that was anything groundbreaking for the weapon that would change it in any sort of way. When I say performance on the weapon, I'm usually referring to maybe the damage or the bullet speed or the vertical recoil that this weapon is plagued with. So they buffed the movement speed, they added some extra buffs for certain attachments, and probably the bigger change is the 60 round drums, basically reducing the damage range penalty from 30% to just 10%. At first, I thought the 60 round drum was actually going to be a pretty good option, but then I remembered it does have a body damage multiplier reduction when you do use it. So basically, that 3-shot chest multiplier that the Vargo usually has is basically going to disappear if you do decide to use the 60 round mag. And for me personally, I kind of do depend on that chest multiplier as well as the headshot multiplier because that's what actually makes the weapon kill a little bit faster, at least for me. But even I could agree with, I guess, the general public when they do say that this is basically a non-important buff for the weapon. Because yes, you have a slightly less penalties with that 60 round drum, but you lose a lot more potency with your shots. You can use recoil booster along with that really fast rapid fire barrel, and it might help to kill a little bit faster. But again, I don't really see this being a very viable option. Because at the end of the day, it kind of tears down what makes it different from the AS Val. And again, like I said, the AS Val is a weapon that's commonly, I guess, compared to when it comes to the Vargo. And one thing that I will say is that the Vargo is slightly better than the AS Val only because it does have that 3-shot chest multiplier thing. That's something that the AS Val doesn't actually have, but of course AS Val also comes with a built-in suppressor, so yeah, you're basically going to stay off the map. Of course you have that option here as well, but there's really no point, I would say. One suppressor reduces your mobility while the other one reduces your range, so pick your poison. There's also kind of like a hidden benefit with the 60 round mag. It's something that you probably would not see at first because you kind of had to scroll down the list of upsides for the 60 round. It does give you like 1% extra fire rate speed. So, I mean, that could be beneficial again if you combo all the fast firing stuff together. But like 1% isn't really going to matter too much in the grand scheme of things. I would say your best bet is just maybe using just the 45 round mag because that's the only one in terms of like stats that really won't mess up your weapon like outside of movement speed. And you could stack up the fire rate without that missing 1% and the weapon will be very potent when it has a rapid fire rate and a 3-shot capability to the chest as well as the head. The range won't go that far, but when you're in close quarters such as shipment or just in a large map but you just happen to be in front of someone, that could actually help you a huge amount. I think that's what makes the Vargo, in terms of damage, a lot more superior than the AS Val. One common trend I have been noticing with the Vanguard weapons is that there's not really too many options that could help with your bullet speed. If anything, most of them just kind of lower your bullet speed, if anything. Or even if it does increase your bullet speed, they're not really that beneficial. If anything, it kind of sets you back more than it helps you. And it's the same thing with the Vargo. There's not a lot of things that could help with your bullet speed. And again, when it does, it just kind of messes you up more than it helps. Had they done something with the bullet speed and the vertical recoil, I would say this would be a much more viable option, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case, and I don't really expect them to make any further changes to the weapon just for the sake of balance. I think we would have to be like in a dire situation in order for that to actually happen, but I cannot really see that happening with the Vargo. I would say the main priority is continue, I guess, nerfing the USS-9 a little bit further and maybe also nerfing the 3-line rifle, even though it hasn't come out yet. I already know it's going to be overpowered as fuck. But yeah, I would say those would probably be the two top priority. Of course, the Vargo still does need some improvements, but as of right now, I can't really picture the devs kind of expanding upon this further. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.